Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with Remax, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Niagara Edition, with host Stephanie Vivier.
Well, hello there, Rob Golfi. Such a pleasure to be here with you. I understand this has been a pretty busy week for you in your life.
It has been. It has been. So I had the privilege to speak at my high school that I graduated from in Niagara Falls. And I spoke to the career business class, which was fantastic. And it was actually, you know what was great about this? This was kind of like a test run of my presentation that I was going to do for our event that we had, Win in Any Market. But I'll get to that in a second. But the great thing about this class was I wanted to show them that that the value in themselves, the value is in themselves. And not to have anybody take that away from them, because and also I wanted to teach them that anybody that's negative, do not hang around those people, because they will put you down, and they're doing that because they don't want you to get ahead, and that's what life's about. Like life, you know, people don't realize it, but your friends maybe not be your real friends, and they're putting you down. Your real friends should be putting you up. So so I was just teaching them and trying to tell them that, look at yourself. You've got yourself, and you got real value there, and don't let anybody, put you down. If you're looking to get in business, there's a lot of opportunities. I told them the service business is the cheapest way to get in business, just because you don't need that much stuff to start up a business, and you can make a lot of money, and the margins are good. So I did my presentation there. It was geared more for the students. But then I did the real presentation at our Win in Any Market event. And I put this event on no charge, and I invite realtors. We had realtors from Barrie, Ontario, Mississauga, Toronto, all the way from Niagara, everywhere that came to view and speak. We were talking a lot about artificial intelligence, AI, which is important now. And like technology is moving so fast right now. The older generation, it's tougher for them to keep up. And they need younger people, like their kids, to keep them on top of everything. But if you're not involved with artificial intelligence now, you will fall behind, because as artificial intelligence is getting better and stronger, you grow with it. But if you get in let's say a year from now, 2 years from now, you're learning at a level that it's already gone through the beginning stages of the level, and it becomes harder to understand it and learn it, and especially if you're older. But it does everything. I don't even think a person that doesn't have that much education can look very smart. And actually, somebody it's amazing. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of fake people out there in the next 20 years. There's going to be a lot of fake people. So I feel sorry for the world that we're entering into, because there's going to be it's just making people look good out there, and that could be a problem, because the real person that is smart maybe is not as good at putting stuff on like in interviews and stuff like that. But if somebody that's not as smart is good at doing the artificial intelligence, learning how they do it, and he interviews well, he may get the job, but he's not qualified for the job. So it is going to mess up a lot of people in the future. That's happening out there. And then they showed on the screen when I did the presentation at the Win in Any Market, literally they cloned my voice, and it read everything on this paragraph, and it sounded just like me.
Oh, creepy.
I'll tell you, Stephanie, it gave me shivers, because we played that on the screen, and I'm going, wow. So somebody can actually clone my voice, and which my voice is out there often, just because on the radio. They can do yours too, and they can actually have the artificial intelligence read it, and it sounds just like you. Now, it could be a positive thing, but also it could be a negative thing.
Yeah, it really can. Actually, Rob, this week I heard about this case of a Toronto immigration lawyer, and he's out there a lot like you are, right? On social media, doing a lot of videos, doing a lot of interviews because he wants to get the proper information about immigration. But what some bad actors had done was taken all of this and created an AI version of him. And so people who were hoping to immigrate to Canada were scammed because they thought they were actually speaking with him. You know, they created like Zoom type meetings where it was, you know, an image that looked exactly like this immigration lawyer, but it wasn't him. So reputationally, you know, that is terrible for him. And you talk a lot about reputation and the astounding reputation that the Golfi team has. Like, that can be very tricky if all of a sudden we've got a fake Rob Golfi out there telling people, I don't know, not to inspect the home before you close it or something like that.
Absolutely. You know what? And as I was listening to it, and it was reading as it was going, and I go, that's my voice up there that's talking, and I didn't read that. Like, it was made, and it was taken by my voice. So I guess there's certain words that you put down, and if they take it, this artificial intelligence copies, and it sounds just like you. So, but yeah, absolutely, there's going to be a lot of fraud going on out there because of that, and I don't know what the future holds, but there's no doubt, like, there'll be computers be able to tell the difference between the real voice and the artificial intelligence voice, but the average person can't. They'll say, hey, that sounds like Rob. Hey, you know what? Yeah. He said to do this and do this. And meanwhile, you know, financially, he's going to be in a financial disaster because he was listening to a fraud voice that was trying to scam him out of something. So we got to be very, very careful. But overall, that win in any market. I told my story from you know, when I grew up and all the different businesses I did, and talking about the best business in the world that you can be in is being a realtor and selling real estate, and it was a good motivational speech with other realtors, and I was really happy at the outcome of it. And then actually, you know what, people were pretty happy with. It was a very good motivational speaking that I did, and I was really, really happy with it, and everybody was excited and after it, and yeah, I was really pleased. Yeah, I love sharing.
That's great. You know, just to put together an event like that, it's inspiring, right? People who are in the trenches, often working alone, to get together and boost each other up like that. It's kind of the opposite of the artificial intelligence, Rob. It's the getting together, it's the being in person, and that's some of the stuff that technology really can never duplicate.
You always have to be there. You know what? Functions are important. Functions, seminars, and conferences, they are important. You learn different things, and you network, and it's being there in person is important. You know what? And they had seminars. I know COVID started this thing where they did seminars online. I can't do that. I have to be there. I have to be 100% in. I got to be sitting there, listening to the speaker in person. If I'm sitting at my desk watching on Zoom or whatever, to a speaker, guess what? There's distractions. You get your phone, people knocking on your door. Like, it's not the same thing. But you need to, like, I get more out of anything going away to a conference, being there in person, networking with people, getting ideas, and you know what? The best ideas you get at these conferences is after, when you go for dinner and you guys, when you sit down with somebody, you exchange ideas. Everybody's got great ideas out there, no matter who it is, you know. And I usually sit down with people, whether they do, you know, maybe 20 deals a year versus 1,000 deals a year. I sit down with anybody because they all have good ideas, and I learn from every one of them. So it's not like I'm going after the guys that are doing a lot of deals. Yeah, I do go talk to those guys, right, that do 2,000, 3,000 transactions a year. I talk to them just as much as I talk to somebody that does 30 to 40 transactions a year, because they all have something that can contribute and give me great ideas in the real estate business.
What'd you take out of the event yesterday, Rob? You are a guy who goes into these things wanting to learn something. And of course, you were presenting, you know, bringing your story. What did you take away?
You know what? I took away, sometimes when I'm speaking a motivational speech, I took away how like I actually told a story, my life story of the things I've done. And I'm like, wow, like, you know what? I actually got like all the things that I've done got me to where I am today, to the success I'm at today. And if I didn't have, you know, the failures and all the successes of different businesses in my past, I don't think I would be where I am today in this business. And I learned, you know, that the importance of, you know, service. I learned the importance of, you know, taking care of people and you know, just, you know what, like it's tough. Like I mean, I really do care. I love this business. I should have been in this business 10 years earlier, but I probably wouldn't be doing as well as I am now 10 years earlier that I got in this business, because I had to learn all the other things to be successful today. Like there was so many different things in that I went through that helped me in my business today. And I always tell people I got my MBA in business because of the successes and failures of my past businesses. All my 20s, I was that guy. I was that guy that you didn't want to see. I was that guy. I was trying to sell you something. I was trying so hard, I'll tell you. You know what I mean? So now what I do with anybody that's trying to sell me something that I know, and so I remember like a friend of mine said, hey, you know, my daughter, she's selling these, I think, Cutco knives. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm going to buy them because I know how it was trying to sell my first sale and everything. So I bought the Cutco knives. I bought the vacuum cleaners. I bought whatever they came to me because I was there in their shoes. I know how it felt, nervous, trying to sell something. So I want to be that 10th person that says yes, and even though the first 9 said no. So I do buy. But I'm not telling everybody to come to me to sell anything. I usually, if it's a friend or a family, if they have their son, cousins, or whatever, nieces, nephews, if they come to me, I am the sucker that I will buy it. Because you know what? I'm a salesperson. I want to make sure that they feel good and they say, hey, I sold this. You know, it gives them an uplift in their, you know, self-confidence to be in that position to sell whatever product they're selling. And because I was there, I had the nose, you know, I was selling all these different things when I was in my 20s, and there was a lot, believe me, there's a lot of no's, but the one thing you have to find out to know is that the more no's you get, you're closer to a yes. So, and yeah.
Wow. Sounds like you've come away with like a real respect for the journey you've been on.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like you'd be amazed. One day you'll see my presentation of my life story. You'll go, whoa, I didn't know about that. So we got it all recorded and everything. It was really good, uplifting. I was full of energy, and it was pretty exciting. Everybody was pretty happy with the energy level that I gave out there. I really gave it all. So
awesome.
It was good. It was a lot of fun.
On the AI piece, Rob, just going back to that, you talked a little bit about sort of the negatives, the downsides, the things that might be coming. What are the positives of AI? I know you're using that currently in your business, and it is helpful in some ways.
It is. The great thing about AI is that, for instance, if you want to narrate, let's say a listing that you have a house, the AI can do it for you. And basically you put all the features and everything down, the description, but the AI will do it. They'll do it. You just put it in, boom, boom, boom. And they have AI where they can duplicate even you as a person, your mouth, your lips are moving and everything, but also your voice. So you can actually dictate all the features of the house on a voice, and it just takes 2 seconds to do it with a computer, where you don't have to go to a recording, you don't have to go, sit down and record it. It does it for you. Everything does it for you. Everything is it's making life easier and better for whatever company you're in. For us, I'm a realtor. It's making it easier that way, so that every listing gets the full benefit of a narrated version of me talking about the house that they have for sale, and it's amazing.
And people, of course, want to listen to those kinds of things. We're taking in more media than ever, so that makes it super easy. If you're looking to get into the real estate market, stick around. Rob has brought us some steals of deals. I'm talking houses under $400,000 right here in the Niagara region. Rob is going to tell us all about those. So stick around with us here on the Golfi Real Estate Show Niagara Edition. I'm your host, Steph Vivier. This is News Talk 610 CKTV. All right, there we go.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show Niagara Edition. I'm your host, Steph Vivier. Rob Golfi is with us today. And Rob, it's almost too good to be true. You're telling me there's houses under $400,000 here in Niagara we can still buy?
Absolutely. So what I did is I printed out the detached, semi-detaches, and townhouses that are for sale in Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, Welland, and also I want to talk about what happened to Hamilton in regards to the like older north end areas, depending on which city you're in. So in Niagara Falls, there's 17 homes that are for sale right now in Niagara Falls that are under $400,000. Now, I looked through some of them. There's some good opportunities out there, and yeah, some of them are need some work. But what happens is that and this is what happened in Hamilton. The north end was rough and tough, and it needed, like, there was a lot of rundown houses. But what happened was in the last, I'd say probably 7 to 10 years, there was a heavy migration of Toronto people moving to the Hamilton area, and they're moving also to Niagara. So what happened was they bought houses in the north end, which was rough and tough and beat up. But a lot of these people ended up buying these houses, fixing them up, and they turned the area around. So there's a lot of so they're making them neighborhoods better. So right now in Niagara Falls, the majority of them are in the are in like the I guess they would say north end of Niagara Falls, where like that downtown area, Queen Street, that area, Victoria Avenue. There's some good houses there that you can buy. Like there's 350,000. I saw one that's for sale, and they're asking 350. It's a power sale. There's opportunity there. Needs probably a little bit of work, not much on that one, and that one can be either.
Rob, what is a power of sale? What does that mean?
Oh, power sale means that obviously a bank took over because the people couldn't probably keep up to their mortgage, and they repossessed the house. I feel sorry for those people, but I just saw it because it shows that a bank owns the property now, and there's opportunities out there that people should jump in before next year, and I just wanted to bring out. Like Niagara Falls, 17 properties under 400,000, and there's one here on St. Lawrence Avenue, 229,000. Now that needs some work. Probably, who knows? You have to tear it down. But there's some, properties like 350,000 in Drummond Road. There's one there, a bungalow, 369,000. Now, these properties probably do need a little bit of work, but I'll tell you, the lower the property price point is, the higher the price point will go up. And actually, what's going to happen in Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, and Welland, these areas are going to go up faster than you think, because people come in, they move in, they fix up the houses, and all these houses eventually get fixed up. It becomes a better neighborhood. And the sad thing about this is that the people that are renting, and this is the fault of the government, they should have made it easier for builders to build houses in the past. Now there's a shortage of homes. So there's a transition that's happening. First-time buyers are coming in, buying the house. Now, those people that are renting those houses, there's not much more to rent because, well, we got the landlord-tenant issues that we have to deal with. So the government's not making it easy for the landlord. And so now people do not want to buy investment properties, but what's happening is the first-time buyers are buying them, and there's not another one for them to go to. So they're going to have to go to an apartment building. Now, if the government fixed things up and made things easier, the tenants, because they know that they can take advantage of the system, well, guess what? That system is going to be gone for those people in 10 years from now. It's going to slowly transit, and there's not going to be any houses for rent. And no, because everybody's going to be buying them. And plus, we have a shortage of homes, and there's not going to be any and investors aren't going to buy them. So they better change things right now. But the one thing is, what I want to get back to is the opportunity for investment properties or even a first-time buyer to buy. You just got to check out the neighborhoods, though. There's no doubt. You got to check out some of these neighborhoods. You can buy a decent house and enjoy it, fix it up, give it a paint job, do a couple little repairs here and there, and you'll be able to have a nice house to live in and build some equity. And in St. Catharines, there's 13 houses under $400,000. And there's some good deals there, and in the South End, and they're mostly in the South End, which is there's some good opportunities out there. I'm telling you, right now you can negotiate something even better than what they're asking for, just because of the fact that there's there's an inventory out there. Some of these houses have been sitting on the market for a bit, so you can really get some good deals. Now in Welland, we have 19 homes under 400,000, which is a good size inventory. And then, but in Hamilton, I'll tell you, the North End, just like I was saying before, the North End cleaned up, and it took about 10, 15 years. If you go to North End, you'll see there's still a lot of rundown houses, but I'll tell you, not as much as it was 10, 15 years ago. It's cleaned up, and that's telling me this shortage of homes that we have in this market is cleaning up old rundown neighborhoods. Now it's making things better for older neighborhoods, but it's making it tough for residential real estate. It's going to go up in value. It's going to make it tough to afford also in the future. But there's opportunities out there right now, and I just think that people should jump in. If they're sitting on the fence thinking about buying, do it now. Just make sure your mortgage is, maybe get an open 1 year. You can get a 1 year mortgage, and then within 6 months you can renew it again, and then you can renew in for a 5 year, because there's going to be a couple more interest rate drops happening between now and the next 6 months for sure.
Well, this is very positive news, Rob. Some people, you hear all the horror stories in the headlines and you don't even look at the housing market. So bringing us these opportunities in different places is just such great news. Let's talk about first-time home buyers. Rob, we've gotten some new rules. The country's trying to make it easier for people to get mortgages. But there are some fears that the new mortgage rules are actually going to make houses more unaffordable.
It is. And that's why I'm saying, like over here, there was an article. It says concerns are bubbling among first-time home buyers that the country's easier mortgage policies will drive up real estate prices and make it harder to buy property. And it says when the new rules go into effect in December, first-time home buyers will be given a longer time to pay down the mortgage, and all buyers will be allowed to put down smaller down payments on homes worth more than $1 million. So that threshold of $1 million is going to go up. Those $1 million houses, maybe they were worth $1,050,000, but they weren't getting that $1 million before because people didn't want to go over $1 million. But now that's going to happen because people don't have to put a bigger down payment down. So that is going to drive a lot of people to buy homes. It's going to bring the housing prices up. Like all these mortgage rules with the price and also the interest rate drop, it's like I said, you got to get in the market now before all these changes happen and it's implemented. It's effectively happening in December. So you definitely have to do this. Like the changes will allow first-time home buyers to take out an uninsured mortgage with a maximum amortization of 30 years instead of 25 years. So it kind of reduces your monthly payment, which will allow your monthly payment because the borrower has more time to pay the loan. And the home buyer must pay the mortgage insurance if their down payment is less than 20% of the home purchase price. So if you're less than 20% down, you got to have the CMHC insurance on the house that you're buying. But it is making it. House prices are going to go up. I see it happening, and I'm telling people get in there before it does happen, because you have a chance to get a house at a decent price now, and then you will build equity next year. I had a friend call me up last night, And his name is Don. And they've got some properties they want to sell. And they go, Rob, should we unload them now? And I said, no. I said, if you can hang on to them, I said, put them up for sale sometime February, middle to the end of February. And I said, you will probably end up getting $50,000 or more for each any of those houses that you want to sell. So he's going to hang on. I said, then if you really want to make an increase, wait till 2026. That's going to be a repeat of 2021, and I truly believe that. So he's so they're just going to sit and wait and possibly and see if they can hold out for another 6 months before they put some of these houses up for sale.
Okay. And as people do that, the inventory is what it is. So still opportunities for people to make some deals there. And, we are supposed to get some interest rate cuts as well. So if we put that together with these new mortgage rules, I think your predictions are right on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know what? Showings are picking up right now. They are picking up. So people are catching on right now. And it's amazing what's happening. So I was just looking at our appointments. And just to give you an idea, with our Remax Escarpment Remax Niagara office, there was 3,000, and this is based on September 29th to October 5th. So we got the results in. So last year, just to show you, in September of last year, total appointments in September of 2023 were 11,361 appointments. In September of 2024, 12,371, 8.8%, almost 9% up in showings. So things are going to start happening. Now, what the government should have done, they should have done an interest drop at the beginning of October. They didn't do it. It would have made a difference for the market for the fall. But now they'll probably it's gonna happen at the end of this month, which I think is a little late, and it'll drive the market, the sales up a bit, but not enough time. But it is gonna drive the market up crazy in the spring, which I think there'll be multiple offers on people's homes.
All right, it is going to happen. Talking about unaffordability, when you have a house, there are certain bills you have to pay. And Rob, you can't get away without having a house without insurance. And insurance is up. With Hurricane Milton this week in Florida, we've been seeing more and more of these storms, of course, here as well. And we're all paying more for home insurance.
Home insurance is one of the things I can't stand, and it's especially with insurance on commercial properties. They've been increasing the insurance like crazy. Now they've had what do you call it? $3 billion in claims. So over here it shows Canada exceeded the $3 billion in insured damage from natural catastrophes and severe weather events in 2023, which was the country's fourth worst year of insured losses, according to the Insurance Bureau of Canada. Now, it's insane. Can you imagine the United States, what they're going through? They're going through a hurricane right now in Florida. Now, buyers, I'll tell you, when you're looking at a house, and always get an insurance rate when you're with your conditions. There should be a condition on insurance on there. So you got finance condition, you got home inspection, and you should have insurance condition on an offer when you're purchasing a house. And because you don't know, what that area that you're in, what the insurance company is ranking that area or rating that area. They may say, hey, this is a high floodplain area. Maybe there's a lot of floods in that area. Maybe there's whatever there is. I mean, we don't have catastrophes in the Niagara, Hamilton area as much as the United States, like Florida and all these other coastal areas in the South. But it is important to find out what your insurance is. Sometimes people think, I remember I was paying $1,500 insurance on a house that I had for rent. Now, I'm paying $3,000 a year for house insurance, which is ridiculous. And they were talking about a guy in California that was buying an $8 million house, and he wanted to get quoted for insurance. And they quoted him $140,000 a year. Are you kidding me? Oh my God! So he had to shop around, and he got it down to $60,000. But still, That's a lot of money. If you think
Oh my
about it,
God.
like in 10
Yeah.
years, you paid 60,000 a year. That's 600 grand in 10 years. And chances are it's going to be more than 600 grand because they increase the insurance every year anyway. But I'll tell you, insurance is definitely something you have to look at when you're buying a house. Like Canada, I mean, we've got forest fires. Like Fort McMurray, they had 2 forest fires in the last 15 years, major ones. People had to evacuate the entire city, and so you have to worry about that. But again, like they're increasing our insurance at 7.66%. And it seems like it just keeps going up. I don't know how we're gonna people be able to afford houses if they can't afford the insurance.
That's a really good point, Rob. I've never heard anyone suggest to get a condition on insurance, but that is more information about a potential house you're buying. So I love that advice.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Rob Golfi is with us. This is the Golfi Real Estate Show Niagara edition. I'm your host, Steph Vivier. Rob is going to stick around. If you want to get a hold of Rob and his team, you can call them at 905-641-0308 or robgolfi.com. Back with more after this here on News Talk 610 CKTV.
All right.
There we go.
There we go. So
we
got
have
2 more. We'll talk about St. David's, about designated homes and how it could be an inconvenience or it could be a convenience.
Oh my God. Isn't it a nightmare to renovate them?
Oh, no kidding. It is.
Yeah.
They give you a hard time. So I think if they designate, I'll mention my opinion. If they designate, they should give you grants for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we'll get started. Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Niagara edition. I'm your host, Steph Vivier. Rob Golfi is with us today from the #1 RE/MAX team in Canada, Rob Golfi team. Rob, we are going to take it close to home now. Heading out to Niagara-on-the-Lake. They've got beautiful homes out there. It's got a lot of history, Niagara-on-the-Lake. So there are some heritage homes. For people who don't know about heritage homes, you're taking on a lot when you take on a heritage home. There's many rules around them.
I own heritage homes. I still own them. I've lived in them and everything. And it's a risk if you're buying one. You better make sure if you're buying a 100-plus-year-old house that you find out if there is a heritage designation. Now, sometimes it is good and sometimes it is bad, and you've got to be very careful because. Like if you have to renovate or do anything on the exterior, they want it to the original the way it was built. Now, to find a carpenter, to find somebody to do that, it could be very, very expensive. So you really got to be careful. So there was a gentleman in St. David's that lived on 1 Paxton Lane. He won the battle against the town to designate the family's home historical after the deadline for the council to do so passed. So basically saying, look, I don't want my house heritage. And he's like 4th or 5th generation. Like this house has been in his family since the 1800s, early 1800s. And he's saying, look, it's too expensive. Like, how am I can afford to renovate my house and keep up with this heritage designation? And, and I get it. I understand it. Like, I mean, people love to have the house look close to what it was built like in the 1800s or even early 1900s. But it is very expensive. I mean, if the city or town wants it, they should give grants to people that own these houses and say, hey, listen, we want to keep the historical look. Well, you're making us go to like contractors or specialized people that do woodworking to do this, and it's very expensive. Like to put a new front porch on a house may cost you $10,000, but because it's heritage designated, you may have to spend $30,000 on that front porch to make it original the way it was, which this homeowner is saying, forget it. I can't do that. Like you know what I mean? He wants to live there, but like I can't keep up to the expenses, and it's very expensive to maintain a heritage home. And I get the Heritage Society, they like that, but they should give some back to the people that own these houses and say, hey, if you keep it the way it is, we'll kick in to make sure that the designation, the property still looks the same way. But yeah, this guy won the battle. But there's a lot of houses out there. They can't do any changes. And I remember seeing one house. It was in Grimsby. They ripped down the front porch, and the city stopped them. The town stopped them and said, "Hey, you're going to have to rebuild this exactly the same way as it was." And he goes, "What?" And it cost them a fortune. And so the front porch was kind of, taken apart and gone. And they had to find somebody that can make it the original the way it was before. And it cost them 3 times as much. So
it's getting harder and harder to find those people too, Rob. We talk about the shortage in trades, and this is such a specialized trade that you're really talking about, antique homes and sort of like antique people who kind of know how to do this stuff.
Exactly. And those guys, you know what, those trades are going away. Like the kids that learned from their fathers this trade, they're starting to retire now. Now their kids don't want to do this job. They're going into finance. They're going into whatever business or whatever occupation. They're not getting into this trade. So the last it's going to be tough. The quality of workmanship down the road is not going to be good. It's going to be tough. And like there might be another 40 years left, 30 years left of good workmanship, but those guys are going to be hard to find, and they're going to be very expensive to hire because they're going to be in big demand.
This was a 200-year-old house, so you're right when you say good for him for winning against the designation. You kind of think you're in for it at that point. But it is nice, like it's so nice to see these buildings, and it's charming. We don't want to lose that stuff. I like your idea of having some kind of grants, help for people instead of like punishing them for living in these houses. Give them a little bit of help.
Oh, absolutely. So I have this one little property in Grimsby, and it's just a small, cute little dollhouse. It's like and they basically, the door is to the side of the front. Like it's not a very big building. It's just a small little office area. And the door was to the left of the building. And so I applied for the grant. They wanted me to make the door in the middle how it was originally. And I said, if I do that, I lose, like as you come in, there was a like a sofa there for a waiting room to the right. And if I put it in the middle, the door in the middle of this front of the building, I lose that space where people can sit. And so you can't do it to the left, you can't do it to the right. So basically, they said if you want the grant, this is for commercial property. If you want the grant, you're going to have to move the door. And I said, forget it. I said it's not useful inside. And so anyway, I cleaned it up. I made it as looking historical as possible. They thanked me. I go, well, why don't you just cut me a check for the only thing I didn't do was change the door, but I did keep the building looking historical, which they liked. And but yeah, like sometimes things don't work. Like people have changed things on the outside to make it easier and more livable on the inside. And that's what I did. Like that's what this building was in Grimsby. And put the door in the middle of the house as you walk in. It was just a small office building, very small. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it at all. And so we didn't do it. And there's a lot of stories like that. Like they want it original, and they'll give you the grant and just say, look, it doesn't make sense. We can keep making it historical still. So what, the doors change from 3 feet to the left versus in the middle or to the side or whatever. It just doesn't make sense on the inside you can't live inside just the way the door is set up. So they should look at that. But you know what? When these guys write something down, it's like nobody's willing to compromise. I mean, we're in a different time. Back then, it's different. People didn't have TVs back then. People didn't have, when they built these houses, so it was easier. But living the way people live now is totally different than it was 100, 200 years ago. So, but these heritage people, I guess they don't own heritage homes, so they don't know. So, the society, they say they like to put the rules out, but they don't live in these homes. So anyway, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's all very black and white. All right, real estate development, something you mentioned earlier in the show, we haven't had enough of, which puts us in that situation of having a shortage in supply of housing to buy. And of course, that makes housing more expensive. Developers are reacting to the mortgage changes that you were discussing earlier. What are their thoughts in terms of if this will help them get back to work and building more buildings?
It's not. Nothing is happening, and it's just the momentum is gone. So there was an article that said housing developers say that the federal government's new mortgage policies will do little to kickstart the demand for new homes. With sales of pre-construction homes slumping, builders have been hoping that the federal government would introduce policies to make it cheaper for them to build and easier for buyers to get into the market. The cost to build is so expensive, just development charges and everything else. It is tough. It is tough, even with the 30-year amortization. And what it is now a lot of people that bought these condos, and I'll tell you, what drives the condo market is the investors. They come in, they buy them, and they end up renting them out, and then eventually they end up selling them to the public. So it's kind of like a trickle effect down the line. But without the investors buying them, they're not going to be able to build them. And most times developers, they need so many units, must sell a majority of the units in their condo building in order to obtain financing. So if they can't get 70% of the condo units sold in these condo buildings, they're not going to get the financing to build them. So right now, the investors, they've backed off. So they're not interested. And I'll tell you, all the condo buildings that go up, the majority of them are investors. So the investors basically flew the coop. They're not interested now. They're sitting waiting and watching and see how the cost, what's going to happen. And it is expensive. These condos are expensive. You buy a condo today and you buy as an investment, you want to rent it out, you are losing money every month on from the expenses that you have to pay versus the income that you're going to get for rent. It is not going to work out for them. And so the developers are feeling the pinch because they have to sell these condos at a high price just to afford to pay and make a profit. And it's becoming tough out there. And now the government, they want more housing. It's not happening. I'm telling you, it's going to get choked and choked and choked up. And in 5 years from now, housing is going to be so expensive that you need 20 people to live in them to afford it.
Well, it's a real push and pull, Rob, because, you've got cities like Toronto. We want to increase density, even in the region here. Different cities are looking at, doing more condo style housing. But again, you have these developers that are like, well, I'm not going to carry the cost in the hopes that people will do this. So, it's tough because we want to bring people more into the center of cities, fill cities up, those little gaps in the areas. That way we can have better transit and all those kinds of things. It's like a chicken and an egg situation. Oh,
absolutely. So for instance, the average price, this is in Toronto, per square foot for a pre-construction condo in Toronto was $1,529 in the quarter ended June. Okay. According to Condo Research, that puts the price of a 550 square foot pre-construction condo at $841,000. 550 square feet. I don't know how big. That's not that big.
That's not big at all.
I don't even think you have a bedroom in that. It's too expensive. And then to rent that out, you think somebody's going to like $841,000. Think about the mortgage on there. You need to rent it out for $5,000 a month. Who's going to pay for it? Yeah, you just can't do it. It's not going to work out. And I don't know what's going to cause things to change. The construction cost is so expensive, and it's because the cities and the municipalities, they want too much money. Some houses, just to get the permit, it costs you $150,000 just to a development charge that right out the gate. So the cities and municipalities, but they're so used to getting that money, it's hard for them to give it up. So it's a catch-22. How do we do it? How do we make these housing cheaper? They can't, because the city needs the money to keep the city going, because they're used to spending that, and because they're not good at financing, obviously, and that's why most municipalities and cities are half bankrupt. But I don't know what they're going to do, and like as each month, each year goes by without that much development, and more immigrants are coming into this country, we're already in the crisis. It's going to be a serious problem in 2 to 5 years from now.
Yeah, it's such a blessing for anyone who can get into the housing market. I think kind of going back to the beginning of our chat when you brought us all of these different homes that are under the $400,000 mark, if you can find a way, probably time to get in on it.
Absolutely. This is it. I'm telling you, you got one chance right now. If you can beg, borrow, or steal money, get it, because to get into the housing right now, because it is going to go up, and it's going to start next year, and it's going to continue into 2026, and it may end, it may stop, and then it's going to settle. Then the prices are going to settle back again. But like right now, if you have a house that's worth $650,000, I'm going to tell you in 18 months, it's going to be worth $800,000 right now in 18 months or more. I truly believe that. So get into the housing right now. And it's becoming harder for investors. Like, investors aren't buying single family homes. There's no money in there because you can't collect enough rent. So, but it's just, everything's changing, and you know what? And then somebody's got to clean it up and fix it up, but it's going to take 20 years to do it. So that's the difficult thing that's happening out there.
Well, in the meantime, Rob, we can lean on you and your team to help us navigate these stormy real estate waters. To find out more about the #1 RE/MAX team in Canada, the Golfi team, go to robgolfi.com. That's robgolfi.com. You can give them a call at 905-641-0308, 905-641-0308. Rob, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
This is News Talk 610 CKTB.